T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. All three engines up and burning. 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
Coach on Fire Radio.
I am the tiger, dancing through the fire. I am a champion, and you're gonna hear me roar.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. This is Coach on Fire, High Performance Leadership with Stephen Bryant, and your host, Stephen Bryant. We have a wonderful guest who is Janie Lacy. And Janie, we are going to talk about some things tonight. One, a PhD in your own history and why we do what we do. That sounds very interesting. I'm anxious to hear about that. The second thing is acknowledge what needs to be changed. And 3, create the plan of support that determines changes to be made. Our guest tonight is Janie Lacy, an accomplished and well-recognized psychotherapist with 11 years of experience. She has appeared as a psychological expert on hundreds of local and national radio and television shows discussing topics on relationship trauma, sex and love addiction, and anger management. Ms. Lacy knows how to energize a room and is a highly sought-after event host and a popular professional speaker on toxic love relationships, how to make relationships work, and taming the monster within. She enjoys spending time with family and friends, philanthropy, and reading in her spare time. So a little bit about the show. What I want to do is, before we get too far, I'm going to give some contact information for both me and Janie in case you're not able to listen to the whole show. So my name is Stephen Bryant. I am a John Maxwell certified coach, trainer, and speaker. I am also involved in executive role with a nonprofit organization here in Fort McMurray. I've been involved with 2 great not-for-profits in executive roles. I am currently hosting this show, as well as, if you can find me on Facebook, my page is High Performance Coaching with Stephen Bryant. I also have a book coming out in author with other authors that it looks like right now, from what I hear, it will be published in September, so I'll keep you informed on that. I also have 20 years of experience and led the chapel for the St. John's Maple Leafs back in the late 90s, early 2000s. That is the affiliate for the Toronto Maple Leafs hockey team. I've also been involved with platform speaking, and just want to give you a little bit about what's going on right now. I'm working on a project right now that will hopefully land me in Los Angeles twice in the next 8 months. So again, you can find me on Instagram, PastorMan007. It goes back to my pastor days, as well as on Facebook at Stephen Bryant. And somebody said, Stephen, there's so many Stephen Bryants, how do I find you? And I said, I'm the guy with a Hawaiian shirt standing in front of a T-bird. Just a kind of a throwback to the Beach Boys area, I guess. As well as Twitter. I'm on Twitter as Steve Bryant 007. And you can find me on LinkedIn as Stephen Bryant. Janie, you have quite a bit of experience, and we want to promote you this evening. On Facebook, you can find Facebook, Janie at Janie Lacy, JANIE-LACY. Twitter with the same handle at Janie Lacy. LinkedIn, Janie Lacy. And Instagram, the same, Janie Lacy. And Janie has her website. It's janielacy.com. Or you can find her at lifecounseling.solutions.com. So, Janie, welcome to Coach on Fire, High Performance Leadership. Good to have you.
Thank you for having me.
So, Janie, you got quite the Tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are today.
Absolutely. So I actually was in the MBA program at the University of Central Florida. And I was in accounting classes and I was doing a lot of different things. And I realized, Stephen, that I had to do a lot of public speaking. So I joined this leadership enhancement program that they had at the University of Central Florida. And they paired me up with a licensed mental health counselor. I had not been exposed to the field before then. And I had realized that I enjoyed those processes of working one-on-one and doing workshops and just helping people motivate and understand why they do what they need to do. So I had a mentor at the time. His name was Dr. Dyken. He's still at the University of Central Florida over student health services and served as a mentor. And I went to him and I said, Dr. Dyken, I think I'm going to drop out of the MBA program and I'm going to enroll in a counseling psychology program. And I'm on the edge of my seat because I highly valued his opinion of a lot of different things in my direction and career at that time. And he said, Janie, I don't know why I didn't think of that sooner. So that was my validation through him that I needed to go down the path of becoming a psychotherapist. So I dropped out of the MBA program. I enrolled in the Palm Beach Atlantic University. So this is kind of a second career for me. And as God had it, my undergrad degree is in business management. So my master's degree is in counseling psychology, and my PhD is clinical psychology. But I thought, at the time, I thought, okay, I'm getting a counseling psychology degree, and I'm going down this path that my business degree is a waste, so to speak. But as God had it later on in life, I didn't realize that his plan was for me, wasn't my plan, was actually to run a full service counseling center. So using my business background as well as my clinical psychology background and bridging the two. So I've been running a full service counseling center now going on 8 years. I've been in the field for over 11 years, have a full support staff, have a team of 8 licensed psychotherapists in the state of Florida. We all specialize in the work that we do, and we continue to find value in making impact and impacting others' lives through psychotherapy. It's really getting down in the trenches with them, Stephen. We get down in the trenches with them, and it's been a beauty to see people arise on the other side. So it's been quite the journey, but that's the Cliff Note journey. I always say it's his plan for me. Yes.
So let me ask you a question. 2 things that came up when you were giving that answer. One, you were talking about a mentor. So to you, Lacy, talk to me about what is the importance of having a mentor in your life?
Well, I believe having a mentor and mentors has been pivotal in my life in particular. So I didn't realize I needed one until I had one. So starting back when I was in my bachelor's degree, that's Dr. Dyken was actually my boss. I was an executive secretary. I was working through my bachelor's degree. So I was working full time at the health center. And I had found value when I had met him and his wife, and I was the only administrative person on this team of physicians. And I realized that relationship evolved into a mentor relationship, that I found a lot of value of allowing someone that I can trust and who I valued who they were. Not only I'm a spiritual person, but only with their walk with God, but their family life that they walked and talked matched. So once I looked back, that value of allowing someone who was where I wanted to be and as far as their character and being able to be consistent in who they are, speak in my life, I found so much value. So along the way, I would not actually, Stephen, have Life Counseling Solutions be running a full service business if it wasn't for a business coach who also served as a mentor later in my life. So when I had met her, I had told her that this is a plan I want to do 10 years from now. At that time, I said, I think I want to eventually evolve into going on my own, because at the time I was with a practice. And she said, well, why not do it now? And I never even thought about the question. In my mind, it was financial. I'm like, I don't have the financial ability to start a business, and I don't want to start a business in debt. So through that coach, she took a whiteboard, we drew out numbers and what it would take. But through that, me stepping out in faith, can you believe that I had started the counseling center debt-free and no and completely debt free because I stood out in faith, and God put someone in my life that became a business partner who we bartered services, and I was able to establish a counseling center debt free. And I believe it was because I had taken a risk and I followed God's calling. But that was because I had a mentor, I had a business coach, and right now I have mentees, so I'm actually giving back, but I still have a mentor. So I have a mentor in different states that I can call on and process not only my cases, but from the business decisions with hiring and all of the other stuff. So I believe in not just kind of going off of my own leading, but God puts people in our life so that have more wisdom and that have more experience in certain areas that can help us strategize and be more strategic and make smart decisions. So I'm a big believer in mentors, and I probably will have mentors for the rest of my life, but I'm at the place where I'm also giving back now, and I have mentees. So I find that to be extremely valuable. And no matter where people are in their life, whether it's a life coach, whether it's a pastor, whether it's someone that they are specifically using as a mentor and being able to hold up the ladder, people have held up the ladder for me. So I'm a big believer in now holding up the ladder for other people. So it's very valuable.
Well, I was just going to ask you about what is the feeling for you to be able to mentor other people? We talk about the importance of having mentors in our lives, but what does it mean to you, Janie, to actually be one of those mentors and as you pour your life into others?
For me, I find it to be very, very, it's a blessing, and I take it very serious, especially in the work that I do. So I'm a state certified supervisor. So I supervise interns for the state of Florida. They're going to get their licensure to do psychotherapy. So through that window in particular, I find it to be a blessing because I can help people not only develop themselves, but to develop the skills, the tools, and the insight that they need when people allow us to be in their life. Because we're service oriented. So we're dealing with helping people make decisions, dealing with trauma. It's a heavy walk that we have to take with people. So when I am mentoring my interns, I realize, okay, what did I need when I was in their position? And what are the things that they need to know, but no one's going to tell them? And one of those things over and over and over again that I find that interns in particular or mentees need to know is that they have to do the work themselves. If you're going to be working with people and helping them make decisions, whether it's through trauma, whether it's through addictions, whether it's helping them through mental disorders, you have to be farther enough ahead of them to be able to impart wisdom and to be able to have objectivity into their life to be able to help them get to the next step. So I find it a blessing. I take it very serious, and I find it an honor. And, I'm very humbled to even be in this position to be able to do that and to give back in such an important way that can impact and have an exponential effect down the line.
Very good. One of the things I wanted to ask you, actually, there's two things from what I'm listening and hearing you say, Janie, is when you look back over, again, I'm revisiting this one a little bit, but how often do you look back at milestones, or more importantly, and you and I are both from a faith-based in the Old Testament scriptures about memorial stones, as they look back and say, well, what's this here for? And then, hey, there's a story behind that. So how important is it to you to look back? And I know that if you look back too long, you're not going to get where you're going. But is it important to look back at certain points in your life and say, hey, you know what, that was an important step?
Absolutely. As I tell people, they have to have a PhD in their own history. And a part of that is knowing where you've come from, why you do the things that you do, who were the key characters in your life, and how have they impacted you? We all have a template of life, each and every one of us. So it's going to be our environment, the messages that have happened, our traumas we look at as far as big traumas and little traumas. Sometimes we don't have big traumas that we can look at, but we have small traumas that can develop our belief system, develop our value system. Our primary first loves are our primary caretakers, primarily our maternal figure. So who was she, and who was our dad, and who were they as people? What did they not teach us, but what did we catch from them by living with them? And why do we now go to certain people, certain groups? Why do we believe certain things? All of that stuff goes back to those milestones or those memorials in our life, because that's going to, especially if we stop and we reflect, we will now understand. If we cut, it's like cutting ourselves open. The reason why a lot of people don't look back, and I see this in therapy all the time, they don't look back is because there's parts of it that's very painful. And I'll hear this all the time, is that I'm an adult now and I'm where I'm at. I'm not going to blame my childhood and those like, and I say, you know what, when I went to Italy, I'm looking at ruins. I'm looking at ruins. In order for me to understand what was there, I get these books that kind of show you what was there, and we're reading about history to understand what we're even looking at. So in present day, for us to understand